What's up, troops? How's it going? Today we are looking at some bombshell news from Labour, who have made a bit of a U-turn on the asylum seekers entering the UK. I'm Craig, a former British soldier, and we're looking at Labour's possible plans to send asylum seekers overseas to the Balkans while they're going through their appeals process before they are removed back to their country. But before we do that, do head over to combatreadyhq.co.uk to check out some of the best coffee blends on the market. You got a battle brew blend there and a combat ready. Really helps support the channel as well. And a big shout out to all of you who've liked, shared and subscribed, and a massive shout out to all of our channel members. Getting into this then, I've looked at it from a few different sort of news outlets. We've got GB News, I looked at BBC, Sky News, we've got the Express here, and we look at Sky News first. The government considering sending failed asylum seekers to overseas migrant hubs. Labour's strategy to tackle small boat arrivals comes as a number of migrants were pictured arriving in Dover on Saturday. We know it has hit an all-time high. I think it's over 36,000 have made the crossing since Labour have come into power, and over 7,000 or roughly 7,000 migrants have made the crossing this year alone in 2025. All-time high since the recordings began in 2018. A Home Office source has told political correspondent Amanda Akas that the government is in a very early stage of discussions around the idea that it's keen to learn about what Italy has been doing in Albania. The right-wing Italian government has built 2 facilities in the Balkan country aiming to hold migrants while processing their asylum requests. Government sources told the Times newspaper that UK ministers are planning to approach countries in the Western Balkans, including Albania, Serbia, Bosnia and North Macedonia. This is a massive U-turn considering they didn't want to send them to Rwanda, and I'll give my opinion on that in a second. So this is a few weeks old. It's sort of, the numbers are sort of outdated, but we're at around 7,000 migrants now. The Supreme Court ruled in 2023 that Rwanda was considered an unsafe country. Amanda Akas said that the Home Office source won't say much, so which countries being considered, because they don't want to preempt any discussions which haven't even officially begun yet. But I'm told the government is closely looking at an example of Italy, where they have a treaty with Albania. Very similar to sort of what has been said on GB News. They haven't really gone too much off that as well. Numbers are slightly different, but we're looking at currently around 38,000 migrants being housed in hotels in the UK. And same on the Express. But what one of them does cover is that apparently the difference between this is asylum seekers were going to be sent to Rwanda, whether they've gone through the appeals process or not, whether it's been accepted or rejected. They would not have been heard. They would have just come into the country and then they would have been shipped off to Rwanda. And apparently Rwanda was deemed an unsafe country. I don't believe that was fully the case. I just believe the process hadn't been completely accepted by the Supreme Court. Labour say that they were just going to be sent over to an unsafe country, to hotels and a housing development. It was an actual housing development specifically designed and made for the asylum seekers going over. I believe there was workshops for them to get them qualifications, to get them fully trained to go out into Rwanda to do whatever they need to do and then go and move on. So they were actually getting qualified so they could go and get jobs and actually have a life and have a specific housing development that they could live in that was safe for them. That was my understanding of Rwanda. Obviously, I think no matter what the Conservatives did, Labour were just going to reject it anyway and go against it. It could have been, we're going to move them to America into a really nice, safe neighbourhood in Beverly Hills, and I think Labour still would have said no. But with this, what they're saying is, while they're going through the appeals process, they could still go through it, and then if they get rejected, they can then be housed in an actual sort of hub like they have here in the UK, but in another country before then they are deported back to their country. And for the ones where they can't be deported to sort of unsafe countries like Iran or Afghan, instead of being housed in hotels, they could be housed in these hubs in another country. We've currently got 38,000 approximately, give or take a few, currently being housed in hotels. So you'd need massive hubs in all these countries to be able to house 38,000. What the difference is, I find, with this compared to the Rwanda, which is why I think this won't work, and I don't think it has stopped the crossings, is Rwanda was a massive deterrent. they were saying you will come to the UK, but you will be shipped straight off. Okay, yes, they will not be heard. We will not hear your appeal process. We believe that you should not be in our country. We need to stop the boats. You'll be shipped straight off to Rwanda. And the crossings did sort of slow down and it would stop. With this one, they're still going to come to the UK. They're still going to be able to go through the appeals process. So they're still going to have hope that they could possibly get into the country and be accepted. So yes, they may come to the country, they go through the appeals process and then you're shipped back to the hub. But you're still going to have those crossings because you're not deterring them. You're still saying, come across. We will hear you. We will hear your story. We will hear if you've got any sort of stand-in to sort of possibly gain citizenship or at least entry into our country. And then if you don't, we are going to send you to this lovely hub and then we will send you back to your country. There's no different to what goes on now. Come over now. We will hear your process. We will put you in hotels, holding rooms, or whatever it is. We will house you. You can go through the process. And then if you're lucky, you can then go on into the country. If not, we will then remove you back to your home country. If that's unsafe, you just go to this hub in another country, or you'll stay in the UK until your country is safe. You need a deterrent. I keep saying this. We need a deterrent. And I think Labour are just grasping at little ideas without actually tackling the issue of deterring them to make the crossing. If you're saying we're only going to send you there and you can still go through the appeals process, but the Rwanda policy was, we're just going to send you there. You come over, you'll be put straight on a plane, you're going to go to Rwanda. That is a massive deterrent, and this is where we're going wrong. I don't think they're ever going to come up with an actual decent idea, because I don't think they're strong enough to make a decision like that, like Rishi Sunak made. I'm not saying I'm fully conservative, but he was like, we are going ahead with this. We will make this work. They're costing the taxpayer money, so we're going to put money into this. Do you think a country like Albania, Serbia, North Macedonia, etc. are going to just let you house asylum seekers from the UK in their country without you giving them money? So whether you're housing them here and paying for them to stay in a hotel, you're still going to have to pay for them to stay in these hubs. So it's still going to cost the UK taxpayers money. We need to deter them from making the crossing. I know I'm repeating it now, but that's what we need to do. We need to put mass forces on the UK and French shores. We need to find out where these gangs are bringing in these boats. We need to know where they're sort of infilling from. We need to know their routes in and out. We need to know exactly where they're getting these boats from, how they're getting their boats in, and then where they're hiding within the sand dunes. We need to know the routes from the other countries into France. And then once they're into France, we need to stop them. And then we need mass sort of ships patrolling the waters. We need military on the shores as a sort of deterrent, because you're less likely to want to cross. And then we need to say, once you're in this country, we're just going to ship you back out. You're not going to have an appeals process, because most of you are fighting age males coming across. You're not just families, young children, women. The majority of you are not young women, children trying to flee your country to a safer place. You've gone through loads of other countries. You're currently sat in France, which is an extremely safe country, before coming to the UK to come to another safe country, but you've got to cross water to get to us. We need that deterrent, and I don't think this will be a deterrent. But I'd be very interested to know what your thoughts are on this. So please do comment below. Be very, very interested to hear what you've got to say. But thank you for watching. Remember, head over to combatreadyhq.co.uk for some of the best coffee blends on the market. And a big shout out to all of you for watching this video, subscribing, and a big shout out to all of you channel members. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.